Welcome, foolish mortals.
Time to be turning around. If only you could.
Cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
Hey, Henry, what's holding you up? Let's get on with the show. We can't hang around here all day.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
There's no turning back now.
This is the greatest show!
It's coming on the burning lights. With the runaways are running tonight. Impossible comes true. It's taking over you. This is the greatest show.
Now it's time for the WDW Beyond the Gates podcast with your hosts, Michael Hurley and Gary Aruda.
This is the greatest show.
That's right. This is the WDW Beyond the Gates podcast, episode number 555, recorded from the D. Fauntleroy Studios in Kent County, Rhode Island, in sunny Southwest Florida. I'm your host, Gary, joined as always by my co-host and my cousin, Mike, down in Florida. How you doing today, Michael?
I'm great. How are you?
Welcome back. Busy couple days.
It is.
I even gave you the out, and you didn't want to. You wanted to get right in the studio while things are fresh on your mind.
We got to keep plugging away.
And I know Susie was eager to get in the studio as well. Susie, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, always my pleasure.
And then we also have another jet setter joining us this week. We have Angry New Phil Jr., who just got off a plane at TF Green and back in the studio. We had to fly him private back home so he could get his microphone so we could talk this week.
First class, baby. Only first class. That's how we roll here.
Yeah, I mean, when I said it's last minute, you want to be on the show, he had like 3 connections to BWI and Philadelphia. And I said, all right, screw it. We'll just send a jet down to MCO and we'll fly you back direct.
Yeah.
When you're in demand, you just got to make it happen, you know?
Well, I mean, obviously, if anyone follows Mike on Facebook, you know that he's flush with cash because he ate at the Cake Bake Shop today. So obviously, he's got money to burn if he's spending time eating there. We'll talk about that at a future time, but just wanted to make that known to our listeners that Mike's in a different tax bracket than most of us because he's eating at Cake Bake Shop.
No, absolutely.
But anyway, we have Susie and Angry New Phil and Mike here to talk about their experience that they just had literally yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, from time of recording at the Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Festival. What's the official name of it? I'm not even sure.
Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah.
I'm still digesting. How about you, Mike?
Oh yeah. No, it's still going through the system right now.
And so this, I'm sure it is. So this is very different from the Epcot Food and Wine Festival.
That is correct.
Because it's only a few days, right?
Yeah, it's just 2. It's Friday, Saturday.
Friday and Saturday, just this weekend. They get.
And it's only 5:30 to 9:30, so it's just 4 hours a day.
It's everything the Epcot Food and Wine Festival wishes it could be and tries to be.
He's exactly right.
Well, not what it tries to be, because they don't sell a ticket where you can eat as much as you want and drink as much as you want. They could sell that for an exorbitant amount, but they don't try to do that. However, you buy one ticket and it gets you in the gates, and then it's basically free reign from there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how much does that set you back?
Is it 200, Phil?
Yeah, I think it was about 200 a ticket.
I mean,
200, 209, somewhere in there.
Credit card fees and all those, it came out to maybe like 220. So I think for the two of us, it was like 435, I want to say.
Yeah, that makes sense because I bought 4 because the people we were with handled the accommodations, and I want to say it was like $900 for the 4 tickets. So that's about right.
It's expensive.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was not an inexpensive evening.
No, it
sure,
was.
but I'm fairly confident I made a solid dent in that expenditure by the time I was done.
And you don't drink.
I ate my weight in food.
I ate twice my weight.
The thing was, though, no, Phil doesn't drink, but he was double fisted a few times for his wife. I mean, Phil and I were going constantly to these wine boutiques. And all right, she said she wants blah blah blah. Oh yeah. And here's some coupons. You can pick these up at Publix or your local liquor
nice.
store. Yeah.
I was like, go get me the Moscato. And I'm like, he's coming back saying they don't have biscotti.
Yeah, I don't know what a Moscato is.
You come back with a clamato. You're like, here you go.
Sounds
Now,
like
did they-
something Whatchamacallit had. What was his name? I'm having a friend for lunch.
Yeah.
Hannibal
Probably
Lecter.
even a nice
Probably,
Beyonce.
yeah, exactly.
Did was there things besides wine? Like, could you get beer?
Yeah,
Or is it-
yeah, they had
okay.
sparkling. I mean, they had
Yeah,
Spirit.
Emily and Susie
Spirit.
found a new best friend from Brooklyn last I checked.
Rocky. Yeah.
Rocky.
Rocky was great.
Was he pouring the drinks?
He was pouring the drinks.
Well, that helps.
With
That
the
certainly helps.
botanical spirit. It was apple, and I don't remember what else was in it, but it was really good.
Nice. All right, so for $200 a head plus
Yeah.
fees, what is included? Why don't you explain what they advertise or what they offer? Because I don't know a lot about this. I haven't had much experience. I haven't looked into it too much, so I'm curious to learn.
So they had 85 separate booths of beer, wine, and spirits.
Wow.
They had, I can't even do the math on this, 28 booths of food.
That's a lot of booths.
That is, isn't it?
And some of the booths had multiple offerings. So a lot of the wine booths had at least 2 wines that they were offering, a red and a white.
So were these like specific vendors, like alcohol vendors that would set up and just peddle their own wares, or were they restaurants or
So
just-
the wine was vendors, and you know, I
Okay.
think sometimes like the wholesaler or whatever would push a certain brand, but they
Yeah.
were set up by location. So there'd be a California, Argentina,
Oh,
you know,
that's
Spain,
interesting.
Italy, whatever. So you didn't know by walking up there what you were getting, but they did have a map that listed out everything. So if you
Nice.
know you're a rosé person, you could look through and say, okay, this one has rosé. I'm going to go check this out.
Now, my recollection of that area is it's not too big. Like, was everything kind of packed in? Is it tight or is it bigger
No.
than I think?
It went on and on
Yeah.
and on.
Okay.
We realized there was an area we never even went into. last
Yeah,
night.
because Phil came from a different spot. So we walked in through the boardwalk, and as you're walking to the Swan and Dolphin, the Swan's gonna be on your left, the Dolphin's on your right.
Mhm.
The ticket booth, the will call was right there in that esplanade. You know that walkway where you can walk in
Yeah.
between the Swan and Dolphin and get on the friendship boats to go over to the parks.
Yep.
So I had will call there. Showed him my phone. They just scanned it. Beep beep. Gave us our wristbands. And then there are booths actually going out back toward Boardwalk. There was maybe a few food stands going out that way.
There were a few stands that way, but then there was an area kind of tucked off into the courtyard of the Swan
Yeah.
that had like a Chinatown setup that we never even made it into.
Wait,
Hmm.
back up. We missed a
We
whole
missed
section
a
over there.
whole
We
section.
missed a whole
It's not
set.
like I had any room left to go to
Right.
that section, but I had no idea that even existed.
Well,
You would've
I
made room.
noticed it when we were walking in, you know, when we first got there. And then I thought maybe it was private because it was tucked away. I thought, and there was a metal detector there too. But then when we realized this morning, I was looking at the map. I'm like, I didn't even see the Chinatown.
Yeah.
And that's where it was.
Missed it.
It was almost across from where we first hit when we got the brisket.
Yep, I know what you're talking
Oh yeah,
about.
it was right across the way that over there. Yeah.
So we came in from the Dolphin side. So we came up the causeway from the Dolphin all the
Mhm.
way up to Will Call, then met you guys right after we get our bracelets. So we never actually went to that corner. We
Backwards,
just
yeah.
went right around the corner from the Will Call to start at the brisket place and worked our way in. So we totally missed that whole corner.
How did you guys get? Did you guys Uber?
So we went over to Disney Springs before everybody wanted to drink just to hang out, and then took an Uber from Disney Springs. And
Okay.
then Jacqueline and Curtis had driven in. So because I wasn't drinking, I loaded everyone in their van and we all went back to the treehouse.
Okay. Because I know when we bought the tickets, it said that parking wasn't included.
It was $36, I think, to get out of the lot, if I recall correctly.
Wow.
Right after $209 a person, it's still $36
Mhm.
to park in their lot. That's brave.
Boardwalk's
It's different
fun.
over there
Yeah,
for sure.
really.
So from there, it went all the way continuing the causeway between Swan and Dolphin, all the way over to the beach.
Yeah, down
Circled,
the beach,
yeah,
onto the beach.
onto the beach with that
Oh, wow.
rickety boardwalk.
Yeah.
Because you're familiar with the property, right? Have you walked around extensively or just kind of
Not a
in
ton.
the
Just I've
lobbies?
been in the lobbies and I walked over to the mini golf, so I've crossed the street over where the Swan Reserve is.
Okay, yeah.
But I
So if
haven't
you're
like
coming from
explored
the
too much.
beach club and you're
Yeah.
walking toward the Swan Reserve where that whole beach area was lined up, they had tables
Oh,
and
wow.
it went all the way past the main pool and back around to the front of the the Dolphin rather.
How are the crowds?
I didn't think it was crazy.
Manageable. I think
Yeah.
I mean, it was busy. I don't want it.
Right.
There
Yeah.
certainly wasn't a whole lot of room, but it wasn't elbow to elbow. Couldn't get what you wanted. I don't think I waited more than 2 minutes to get to the front
Yeah.
of any booth.
Yeah, there were a couple lines where we waited, like Phil said, maybe 2 minutes. But how many times do you wait in a popular line in Epcot where you're there for 10 minutes? Like
Well,
the escargot sometimes in France, you're
yeah.
just standing there.
Well, because you have to order and pay. Here, they just
Yeah.
have it ready and they hand it
Right.
to you, basically. I mean, that's going to expedite things, I would imagine.
Right. But I mean, they were literally plating things as we were walking up. Like it
Nice.
wasn't,
Yeah, they were.
there were a few things that had been sitting for a while that were cold that
Yeah.
we,
But for the
ended up
most
throwing
part,
away, but
at the beginning, they were just plating. They might have 30 plates that were probably less than 10 minutes old, ready to go.
Yeah, they're just constantly just trying to get ahead of it, I would imagine,
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah, they're shuffling. They're putting out 15, 20 at a time, and they're disappearing just as fast as they're backfilling them. So, like Susie said, I can think of 2 booths where things were cold that would have been a lot better. But other than that, everything was fresh. It was good. It was plated right before we got there. There were no holdups, no long lines. It was crowded. I mean, they certainly make a fortune on this thing, but it never felt like I was overwhelmed at any point.
Yeah.
Now, you guys stayed till the end because when we were walking back to the boardwalk, I heard them saying thank you for your donation to Wounded Warrior. Now I know that upgraded wine glass went to Wounded Warrior. The proceeds to the food and wine also go to Wounded Warrior. Do you know?
I thought only the upgraded wine glass was. I could be mistaken, but I think it was $15 to get the upgraded, nicer, bigger glass, and I believe those were all Wounded Warrior proceeds.
Because they give you plastic, or was it plastic?
plastic.
Like plastic wine glasses that is going to be good to have around the lanai in the pool. And they said for $15 they'll give you a nicer one that was upgraded, so you would have gotten a bigger pour. So if you like to drink wine,
would have been a bad idea.
Yeah, it would have been a bad idea for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think the amount of wine is the issue, right? That thing,
And
like, you can keep going
you get
back.
smaller pours, so
Yeah, but it's not like they cut you off. You could just go back.
Right.
you can
over and over
constantly
again
keep going back. Yeah, that's right.
if you really like something.
Right. There were
Yeah.
200 different wines there. Even Emily said it was a wine sipping and smelling. If she had tasted
Rodent?
everything she got, there's no way she would have made it halfway through.
No, I can't. I think that I don't drink wine, so I don't know, but I imagine having a lot of different ones might start getting to you a little bit.
It
Like, I-
was nice. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you probably stick with like one variety that you like and try the different types of that style of wine. I can't imagine if you're drinking. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Susie,
No,
you can
I
interject.
mean, I stuck mostly to reds. I tried a rosé. I think I tried a Moscato, but for the most part, I stuck to the reds. And I would mix it up between like a Cab and a Pinot or whatever. But you don't want to go too crazy.
Because I had a sparkling. I like an Asti Spumante on New Year's. So I have kind of like was a rosé, more of a sparkly.
You had a sparkling rosé.
Yep, and that was pretty good. But I don't drink the reds or the whites like she does.
No, I don't. I'm not a wine guy. I'll drink like you said. I'll have a glass of champagne once in a while at like a wedding or something, and I can force it down. But I would have been going for beer, or cocktails, or something if they had them.
How was the quality of the wine? Was it reasonably good?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there were some that were definitely lesser. But yeah, I was impressed overall. Gary, I was trying to do a quick count. I think there were maybe like 25 beer and spirit booths out of the 85.
I mean, that's plenty though. I mean,
Like
can't
that
go
whole
wrong with
beer
that.
garden that we kind of ended in was all different
Yeah.
beers and mixed drinks and spirits, and there had to be 20 booths just in there, and they all had 3 or 4 different selections.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And they had entertainment as well. So there were a couple of different bands that were
Yeah.
set up.
Oh, there was some entertainment, all right.
There was a
even
lot
aside
of
from the
entertainment.
bands.
We will certainly get to that
There was
shortly.
some unpaid entertainment as well.
Oh boy.
So the first, let's just get right to it. What was the best dish? It was the first thing we had.
Oh yeah, by far the sable fish at Blue Zoo.
Okay.
We had it twice.
So I have no idea. Blue Zoo was right around the corner. I think Phil had just gotten on the ground, so he had to get his tickets and rock and roll. So we had 10 minutes before we were going to meet up. So we went over to Blue Zoo and got the sable
you
fish.
actually left. You were like, I'm going to go meet him. And I'm like, well, I'm right by Blue Zoo. There's no
Yeah,
line.
that's
I'm
right.
getting this sable fish. And then you had a bite of mine. And you're like, holy crap, that's good.
It
And you
was
met
good. I
and
thought
you met the chef, right?
Yeah, that was after.
Oh, okay.
But do you have the description?
I do. Roasted sable fish with black garlic miso butter, sesame lobster mushroom, and Okinawa sweet potato. It was incredible.
So it's like an Asian style. 'cause
No,
we-
it really was. No, it was a white flaky, but her description's on, but it wasn't Asian tasting, was it?
No, not at all.
And
So
what
I
would you
think
have
miso,
you
I
ever had
definitely think-
sable?
No, I haven't.
What would you describe it? Almost like mahi-ish, like just a white,
No, it's a little
flaky.
more tender than a mahi.
Okay.
I thought it was more like a Chilean sea bass
Yeah, that's fair.
type consistency.
Yep, that's fair. Yep, a sea bass type of fish.
It was just out of this world.
Oh my
So
god,
good.
it was so good.
Yeah, to be fair, I thought their yellowfin tuna with shaved asparagus salad at that booth was every bit as good as the sablefish was. The tuna
Okay.
was excellent.
Yeah, we didn't try that.
Is that like a rare like
It was. It was a
Yeah, it
completely
was.
rare tuna. That was
like
shaved
that.
asparagus salad, carved cured yellowfin tuna, miso egg yolk, yazoo kewpie, and sliced raw shallot. And it was phenomenal. I thought it was every bit as good as the other dish.
So that's almost like a deconstructed sushi.
Yeah, it
sounds
didn't
like.
have the rice, but it's absolutely what it was. It was sashimi with some garnish, and it was very good.
And then when Phil and his crew got there, we went over to that barbecue place. I forget what that place was called.
Smokin' D's.
And they had what? Just a brisket?
Yeah, I think so.
Thinly sliced peppered and smoked beef brisket, house-made organic zucchini pickle, Vidalia onion, and toasted fresh beer bread.
How's that sound?
Sounds pretty good. Now, what are these? I know, like you could get as much as you want, but how are the portions? Like one bite, couple bites?
Couple bites.
Yeah, similar to Epcot's Food and Wine, I want to say.
Okay, so about that same
bit
size.
Tiny bit smaller, but on that scale.
I would imagine you'd want them smaller because you can literally try everything, and you don't want to get bogged down. With like, a ton of
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and you can.
Oh,
yeah.
you still got bogged down, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. I'm just saying, like, you know how like at a wedding they have like the past hors d'oeuvres, you can just pop the thing in your mouth in one bite. Like that's almost what you want it to be, just so you could taste everything and then move on to the next thing.
I want to say everything was what, between 2 and 4 bites worth of food on the plate. It was small, but there was enough for you to really kind of get a sense of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, before you keep going, obviously Blue Zoo had one. That Smokin' D's is not a restaurant at Swan and Dolphin, correct? So, did every restaurant have a booth, and then
Yes.
there was other things on top of that?
That
as
is
well?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Everybody was represented. Yep.
Yeah, right down to the fountain ice cream shop.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
okay.
everything there.
So you like the brisket as well, Mike?
The brisket was good, yeah. Because it wasn't tough. You know, sometimes it's a little chewy and you got to kind of
Especially
pull
if
at
it's
it
like
a little bit.
in bulk or if it's sitting around. Like you get a fresh brisket, it's usually in pretty good shape. But yeah, if it's like
Sometimes when you get the sandwich, you take a bite and you basically pulled 7 pieces,
Yeah.
7 pounds of brisket off the bun, and you're like, oh, this is great.
No, and it
Wasn't
broke
like
apart even just with the fork. It was
With the
perfectly
fork, it broke
cooked.
apart. Yeah, it was really good.
what else
And
was
the
a
thing
winner?
that was nice too was that they did have a bunch of booths where you could get a vegetarian option.
Oh, okay.
Because that one that we hit, that was fantastic too.
Which?
The one that had the
noodle salad.
The noodle salad. It was that cold noodle salad. I think
The Korean no mayo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a hit as well. I thought
Wasn't
that was
it?
top
That was
5
so
easily.
sneaky good, wasn't it? Because when I got it, I'm like, okay, it's not stuff that I don't like, so I'll eat it. And I started eating. I'm like, oh, this is delicious.
It was the same with me. The only thing in there that got my attention was the noodles. I'm like, all right, that sounds good. And I took 2 bites and went, this is solid.
Had such good flavor. It was cold. Oh, it was so good.
And that's one of those things when you're at like this event, you would never have ordered that if you had to pay $4 for it.
No, not at all.
And that was from the pool bar. That was from Cabana's
really?
pool bar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing the sign Cabanas.
That's funny.
It was incredible. But we ate there once, and their food was really good.
We did. We had the fish
We had
tacos.
and
Yep.
wings, I think.
Yeah, with food there's really good. Yep.
What else did you guys have? Because I had another one that I thought was phenomenal, and I'm trying to. Oh, I found it. Peekaboo, the shrimp and grits,
Yes.
cheesy heirloom white corn grits, marinated in seared shrimp with a Creole sauce.
That was
Like
amazing.
I could have made a meal out of 6 of those.
So she got it. I don't like grits, right? So she got it, and she goes, "Let me give you a shrimp." I mean that shrimp was
There
like
were
the size of like my
There were 2,
forehead. Yeah. So she gave me a shrimp. So I got it, and then I put a little bit of the grits on, and it was delicious. It wasn't like that cream of wheat grits. It was it had so much flavor. It was.
I thought it was a
delicious.
polenta at first, not a grits.
Yeah.
Because it was so good.
So smooth.
Yeah, it really was.
I'm starting to get into grits. I get shrimp and grits a lot now. And
You would have loved this dish then.
Yeah. And I like Creole and Cajun spice too. That sounds right up my alley. Definitely.
Yeah,
would
that was
like
probably top 3 for me. I could have gone back there if I had any room left.
Yeah. But you really liked the corned beef at the fountain, right?
Yeah. So then
You
we
went back
went
for seconds.
I went back for seconds. They had, what was it? The corned beef Reuben.
Yeah.
It was just a plate of corned beef with had like that mustard where you saw
Pickled mustard
the
seed.
mustard seed,
Yes. Yeah. I like
and then
that.
it had some sauerkraut. And this
Was it a sandwich or was it just like deconstructed?
it was
Reuben?
deconstructed, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was so flavorful. And the fat, I told Krista, I said the fat was like a good ribeye at Shula's. Like you enjoyed the fat actually more than you did the beef. And a lot of times when you have corned beef, the fat is just, again, too grizzly and too chewy. But they cooked this thing to perfection, and it was just
like butter.
Oh, it was like butter. It was
Yeah.
so good.
A couple bites of that.
And this is from their quick start. Yeah, because Phil was still finishing his up. I'm like, I gotta go get another
Yeah,
one.
Mike disappeared. I go, what just happened? He says he's going back for another one.
I gotta get another slab of corned beef. But then before or after that? It was right because they were right next to each other, that big dessert station that we hit.
Yes. So that was
For the record, after you guys left, I went back there for a second time.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah, that filled in all the little holes and cracks I still had left.
Nice. But yeah, the Swan and Dolphin pastry actually had 2 separate booths with different offerings. And the first one had creme brulee. It actually says it was caramel banana creme brulee. And I don't like banana, and it was incredible. Mike thought it was a little too cinnamony.
Yeah.
He was right on the first go round. So when I went back for seconds, I actually picked one off the tray that only had a sprinkling of cinnamon. They weren't all even. Some of them were completely covered on top with cinnamon. So the second time back, I went and got one that wasn't as.
So they probably had that thing going over the top of all of them, and it just missed a little bit.
Yeah.
They had a fresh strawberry burnt miso tartlet that was incredible.
Gary, this was, you know me, I don't like sweets or overpowering sweets. This was just a light tart with fresh strawberries on it.
Yeah.
So
I
good.
may have gotten that again as well.
That was good, wasn't it?
It was solid.
They had a carrot cake that I don't think anybody tried.
Nope.
Walnut carrot cake with cream cheese mousse and candied pineapple. They lost me at the pineapple. Otherwise, I maybe would have tried it. But then they had a nougat rum dark chocolate mousse that was also phenomenal.
Sounds
very good.
See, this is the type of event where I would eschew the sweets, because I think, like, it sounds like all the savory stuff is too good that I wouldn't want to fill up on carrot cake and creme brulees.
It was, but it was the perfect balance because there was,
You
you know,
needed
the brisket, Shula's, The
Oh, yeah,
Italian Il
sure.
Molino. You had to go back and get some sweets to offset that.
Oh
because
yeah,
the
we're
savory
not
stuff was
even
so
close
good.
to done. We're not
Yeah,
even close to done.
I didn't think you were close
We
to
haven't
done.
even
I
gotten
just
off the opening round.
Now,
here.
Gary, when you were asking about drinks too, they also had tons of bottled water stations too,
just everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere. Yep.
that's good.
So I mean, it was nice because if you don't drink, you could hydrate, and if you did drink and you wanted to hydrate, but like
On
it
the way
wasn't
out,
one of
they were
those where
handing
they
out
nickel.
6-packs.
Yeah, he got a 6-pack and distributed.
Oh, really?
But it wasn't those nickel and dime, like when you pay $200 and then they're trying to whack you for a soda, and it's like, really, come on, like
and it was Fiji water too. It was good water.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like the Publix brand bottled water. Not that there's anything wrong with the Publix brand bottled water, but then the second pastry station had a pistachio raspberry mousse with white chocolate foam, which I didn't try, but you did. Did you like that?
Yeah, it was okay. I wouldn't have ordered it, and I wouldn't have had second. So it
I
was
don't like
fine.
pistachios. I probably would have avoided that one.
Emily had the
Like
same reaction
pistachios,
because
but
she
not
got it.
fresh
And she said it was just okay.
Yeah, it was fine. It was all right.
They had a chocolate blackberry shoe puff, which I didn't see because I would have tried that.
I didn't see it either.
They had a coconut tapioca mango mousse, which I tapped out on because of the coconut.
I got it, and I'm not a mango fan, but it was good. It
Mm,
wasn't a showstopper like the first booth, but it was good.
yeah. And then they had a mandarin cream beignet, which was pretty good. Would have been better if it was warmer, but
Warm and fresh, exactly. That was my thought as well.
I would have liked that. That's probably the only thing I would have got would be the beignet. That sounds pretty good.
and it was a good size. It was like 2 bites, so it was a good size.
Now, what? So far, we're only like halfway through, or whatever, or a third of the way through talking about this, and I'm
Yeah.
already gonna be looking up like the 11-month window for next year's festival because this
Yeah.
sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
The
because
only-
you were welcome, by the way. You remember I
I
did
know.
invite you.
I was invited. I'm aware.
The only thing that I would say, and I mentioned this last night, is I looked up last year's menu and it was very similar. So I
Mhm.
don't know that this would be an every year event for me unless they change the menu up a little bit. I could do every other
that's
year, but I don't know
interesting.
that I would want the same thing year after year for that price.
I hear you.
However, if you are thinking about going next year, I
will
am.
go.
I'm in.
It just so happens.
I thought the Amari dish was very good.
Yeah, what was that?
It was the spana chorizo medium grained rice with organic spinach, lemon spearmint seared chicken.
That was the chicken that was
Yeah.
on the skewer.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
And that they were literally plating in front of us. Like it was piping hot. I had to wait to eat it.
I don't even remember that one.
It was pretty early on, I think.
All right.
It was down the center. It was down the red carpet in between the Swan and Dolphin.
I'm sure I had it. I just don't recall it.
Now, did they have like all their signature restaurants all kind of together, or was it?
No,
spread
they
out?
were all over the
spread
place.
out.
Yeah.
Garden Grove had candy baby roasted beets with orange pistachio butter and whipped herb cheese. I am not normally a big beet person, but this was really good. Mike wouldn't try
I
it.
took a pass on that.
Yep, so did I.
It was excellent.
I probably would try a bite, but I would never ever order it. Like if you had a bite and you're like, "This is so good, try it," I would try it, but I wouldn't even have grabbed one.
I think that's the thing, though, was that I was like, when am I ever going to try something like this? So I might as well go ahead and do it. And I
Fair.
was happy I did.
I
Mhm.
mean, there's no bad part because if you don't like it, just throw it away.
Exactly.
You didn't pay for it. You did, but you
I
didn't
did. Right.
specifically pay for that. Yeah.
Right. Did Blue Zoo. So Il Molino was one of the disappointments for me because I was really
Oh.
looking forward to it. It was Italian ricotta cheese filled agnolotti with broccoli rabe, crispy garlic, Calabrian chili, Romano cheese, and lemon scented olive oil. If it had been hot, I think it would have been phenomenal, but it was cold and it completely turned me off.
The two
Yeah, that-
disappointments I had, that was the reason that I had just no use for the dish, was because had it been hot and fresh, I think it would have been excellent. But as soon as I put it in my mouth and it was cold inside, I was just turned off.
Yeah, nothing's worse than expecting it to be warm and then it's cold, especially like ricotta cheese. That's such a
Pasta,
huge
right.
difference.
Yeah.
Oh no, it gets worse.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm gonna let you cover that one.
Okay. What else? Kimonos was right there as well. They had the dragon roll, which was excellent, except for the fact they put cream cheese in their sushi. And as soon as I taste cream cheese in my sushi, I'm out. But every other part was excellent.
It was.
Emily
It was.
even took everything off the roll to eat it individually, and it was great. But I just hate cream cheese in my sushi. It's a disappointment.
Thoughts, Gary? You like sushi?
I mean, occasionally I'll order it with like a Philadelphia roll, which has cream cheese in it. Once in a while I want that, but generally no. But it wouldn't be a bad thing for me. I don't dislike it that much.
The
I'm
rest
not
of the
super
roll was
picky
just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need it to be traditional or anything like that. I basically like wasabi and soy sauce. So sushi for me is just
me too.
Yep.
Yeah, me
carrier for wasabi and soy sauce.
Exactly.
So I'm good with that.
I will say every bit of fresh fish that I had there was excellent. All the raw fish options were fresh. The consistency was spot on. The texture was spot on. It was plated well. And if there's one place you typically don't want raw fish, it's from a booth sitting out somewhere in Florida, but it was excellent, every bit of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess there's enough turnover that it's not sitting around and festering.
No, not at all. It was all very, very good.
The Rosa Mexicano booth, we kind of had mixed feelings. I had mixed feelings on. The chips and guac were phenomenal. The salsa was really, really good.
Yeah.
But they did a Baja style fish taco that looked like it should have been excellent. And again, it was just a little cold. And I prefer my fish tacos grilled, not fried. So it was okay.
With
Mike
that,
really liked
with
it.
that being said, I had 1.5 because I had her half, and it was good and it was fresh. Because I'm with her, I like mine grilled as opposed to fried. Because a lot of times when you had fried fish tacos, they're just like bad fish and chips, very greasy, and you can't taste the fish inside. But I thought this had good flavor. The salt, the coleslaw was fresh. Everything was fresh.
Shaved cabbage, pico de gallo, Rosa Mexicano white sauce, and a corn tortilla. The tortilla was very good.
Yeah.
And the batter was still crispy. It wasn't washed out. It wasn't wet or soggy. The funny thing is mine was piping hot, and we walked up at the same time. So I don't know what the difference was between the two.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Speaking of a little teaser, we will be reviewing that next week on the podcast. Susie agreed to come on. We're going to Rosa Mexicano.
The full meal.
It'll be interesting because my problem with the Rosa booth, and you guys know I have sung the praises of Rosa Mexicano for like 2 years now. All of my favorite items on their menu were not in the booth. And there are some go-tos there that I think are just home runs all day long. And what they came to the booth with was what they could plate and serve easily versus all of the menu items they have inside the restaurant that take too long to prepare.
What's your favorite?
They have an enchilada sampler.
Okay.
Ooh.
That is
because it might just be dinner. Were you there for dinner, Phil?
Yeah, we always go for dinner.
Okay.
And you can choose which 3 you want, and they've got a chicken, a cheese, a mojo that's just fantastic.
Mike's already planned his next trip. We're not even halfway through the review, thinking about the next meal.
Mike, we'll be back down in about a month. I've got a reservation on a Friday night for Rosa for 6 that I can easily turn into 8.
What are your dates, by the way? I asked your wife,
down.
and she wasn't quite sure.
I want to say the 12th through the 16th, maybe 12th through the 17th, right in there.
Okay, so we're there that weekend. Yeah, we'll have a meetup.
Yeah, I think Gary and you and I talked about this. We're like right on top of each other, I think.
Yeah, we're leaving the 13th.
That's what she
13th through
said.
15th.
Yeah, I'll give you the date for that. But if you guys are coming down, I can certainly make that reservation for dinner over to 8 instead of 6.
We're not there. Gary can join you. We're not there till Sunday, right?
Right.
Yeah.
6 just turned to 10.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be opposed to making a drive up there.
What did you think of Shula's?
What what was Shula's anyways?
Lynn's Heritage Black Angus beef tenderloin with baked marble potatoes, caramelized onion puree, horseradish, and a béarnaise sauce.
Like I got seconds again for that. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I'd score it maybe like
You got seconds and you ate mine?
yeah.
Oh,
So I had
okay.
2.5. Blue Zoo was the gold standard of the festival. That was a 10 out of 10, hands down. I would say
And
Shula's
that was like
was
the first thing you ate too, right?
first
and sixth.
Yeah, sixth. I wanted the sixth was exactly what I was saying. First and sixth. Shula's, I would score it maybe a 5 or a 6.
So disappointing because you love Shula's.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I would have gone it as a 6 too.
Very salty.
Yeah, it was almost more like a roast beef, don't you think? It was very thin. Like, it was flavorful, but I wouldn't have ordered it in a restaurant.
Yeah, it was thin. It was dried out. I also think it probably suffered from the fact that it was towards the end of the line. So by the time I got there, I was starting to fill up. But yeah, if I go to Shula's, I want some medium rare ribeye or porterhouse.
Yeah, I
or,
thought maybe I'd get like a little 2-inch by 2-inch ribeye.
Yeah, and really
with
what I
some
got was
grizzly on
closer
there,
to a brisket than it was to a tenderloin.
Yeah, I agree with you 100. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they could have gone like the Canada booth route from Epcot, giving you like the little mini fillet or something.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the taste was okay. I just thought that it was a little overcooked. It was a little dry. It was a little salty. It just, I'm with Mike. It was a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, because you got those. You're right, because if you have a big like ribeye or a strip where you cut it like the long way, like you see sometimes, like remember how at Peter Luger's how they served it to us already cut into strips like that?
Yeah, and back into the bone. Yeah, exactly.
Just do that and serve everyone like one piece of that strip.
Yeah.
Like you said, like a 2-inch like strip, nice medium rare. And if people don't like it medium rare, go to the next booth. They're not going to be cooking it to order, obviously.
Yeah, it's not cooked to order. Exactly. Yeah, the majority likes it medium rare.
Yeah. That's too bad because I would have definitely been looking forward to Shula's out of like most of the booths. I would have said,
right.
Like you expect the ones that have the restaurants, the sit down restaurants there to have really good. Like Blue Zoo obviously lived up to it. Il Molino, you said wasn't good because it was cold. Shula's wasn't as good. So, and even Rosa, like the big main ones seem like the most disappointments, except for Blue Zoo.
Okay, so it's funny how you say that because let's get back to Blue Zoo real quick. So we went back to get the sable fish, and I'm looking. They have a line. They have a line, and these guys, they got the fish, and they're doing like the presentation where they put the sauce. They put the sauce down. I mean, it was like you were at a 5-star restaurant. Like they were plating it like this thing was $100, and they're moving it along. And I look over and I see a guy in a black jacket. I'm like, well, he's kind of standing out because everybody else are just, they have t-shirts on. I look over, and he goes, "Hey guys, how you having a good time?" Like, yeah. He goes, "Have you tried the sable fish?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is my second time." I said, "It's hands down the best food in the." And I look and I just see Todd English. I'm like, "Oh, hey, chef." He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Can I get a picture of you real quick?" He's like, "Absolutely." I'm like, "This is the best booth." I said, "And you guys have the best restaurant, hands down on property. I love you guys." "Oh, thank you so much." He took a picture. And I'm like, here's this guy, like Emerald Lagasse, who's working the line. Like he's that concerned with the quality. Like, and I heard that this guy loves to come and work a couple nights in the restaurant, and he'll just do the line. He'll do whatever is necessary. But like, this is a guy who is passionate about his craft because he's there working the line. I mean, it was impressive.
It's funny you say that because two of the best things we had to eat this weekend were that sable fish, the tuna at that booth, and the fried chicken and donuts over at Art Smith's Homecoming. And Emily and I are at the table, and we see this big dude with a beard out helping people with their takeout orders, helping to seat people. Then he goes table to table, and he stops at our table and says, "Hey, how you guys doing tonight?" I said, "Good, thank you." He says, "How's the food?" I said, "It's phenomenal." And as he walks away, it occurs to me, I said, "I think that's him." So I pull up my phone real quick and I Google a picture, and sure enough, there's Art Smith handing people bags for takeout, going back to the kitchen, seating people table to table. We ended up taking a picture with him later on that night. It's those guys that are plugged in and just enjoying the craft.
He's another guy because I give people crap because I think that restaurant is fantastic, but everybody just loves that place. Like beyond loves that place. But it is everything he does is simple but good. And that's what makes a great restaurant.
But that's the thing is when it is simple, it has to be perfect. Otherwise, it's just blah.
Like
the
I've
best
had a
dish
couple
of the
times.
weekend. It was fried chicken breast, mashed potatoes, and glazed donuts. That was it. That was the entire dish, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, everything he does is just perfection.
And then we kind of, we kind of slowed down after that. We were almost, but not quite done because this was kind of back into the further part of the setup.
It was basically right behind the main pool.
Yeah,
is where we ended. So it's a long way in.
Yeah, we're behind the main pool and over by the one at the in between the Swan and Dolphin where you can do laps.
Okay.
And that's when we started people watching.
And that was the entertainment.
Oh, this was fascinating parts.
So you're saying a few people had a couple more glasses of wine than maybe?
I don't even think it was more like a lot of glasses of wine because it would have I would have had to blank out before I started doing this. I mean, this was. Do you want to discuss?
Yeah, how did you describe it?
Yeah, who's gonna
senior prom porno?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like there were some the older cheesy couples who were dancing to Christopher Cross sailing or whatever. It's like, oh, that's kind of cute. They're having a good night and enjoying each other's company. And then there was a guy and his girlfriend or wife or whatever, and they were you would had to walk your girls away. Put your hands over there and say, we gotta.
Oh, my wife got video. I'll send it to you. See, you know what just occurred to me is it's not even senior prom. It was 35th class reunion, rekindled romance from senior prom.
It was.
Oh, it was the quarterback and the head cheerleader getting back together.
Yep, exactly.
20 years later. Yeah.
Yes, and their spouses are in separate corners.
It's so funny because a couple times I looked over and she's lifting her leg up over his hips and stuff. I mean, it was starting to get dirty. And Phil and I actually have our back to them.
And I had an ongoing
and
commentary.
Those two couldn't stop. So at one time, Emily goes, I can't stop watching. Well, in the meantime, Phil and I are talking about DVC
contracts. So you know who's got watches the priority.
Soft porn. You can't keep your eyes off that. Me and Phil are talking about our third contract, whether it be board or
jacket off. They're like, whoa, the clothes are coming off. They're like, what do you think? How many points ultimately do you need?
Priorities.
150 for my third. We're completely oblivious.
We're talking spreadsheets, and use years, and expirations.
Did you have the microphone with you? You could have went up and interviewed the couple and asked them how long they've been together.
Well, I told Kristen
they would have had to come up for air in order to answer questions.
Yeah. I asked Phil. I said, "How much will you give me if I have the balls to actually go up and say, do you mind if I break in and try to dance with the chick?"
But Em told me later you guys had spotted them 30 minutes before somewhere on the concourse, and this just continued over to the band.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they had some oysters. Did any of the booths have oysters?
Yeah, but we missed it.
They did actually.
Fried oysters.
There you go.
I think we're at the booth with the scallops.
So Gary, I'm going to describe this to you. I want you to tell me what you think. So It's a butter poached bay scallop, Florida corn puree, charred scallion vinaigrette, radish threads, and shallot butter.
That sounds pretty good.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
It was bad.
Yeah, everybody's just sitting here shaking their head. It was cold. The scallops were rubbery. It was awful. It was
one bite and we all threw it away.
Yep. It was hands down the worst dish of the entire event. And
because that would be promise. One, if you were reading ahead of time, that'd be one you'd circle. I got to try
that. Was on my list.
I saw it and I was like, I have to try this. Scallops are literally my favorite thing.
They're great. Yeah.
And nope. I was so disappointed.
That's too bad.
I think we all looked at each other and we're starting to get a little concerned about how we were going to feel in 12 hours. I'm looking at my watch thinking, when is my flight? This might not end well.
Let's move to a back seat and closer to the bathroom.
It was terrible.
It was the second to last thing I ate. And I think the only reason I had my last dish was because I had to get the taste of that scallop out of my mouth.
Oh, man. How did they one better? She ate boiled peanuts. She took one for the team, and she said it was so much worse than the scallops.
Oh, God.
Have you ever had
describing them. She's like,
no.
She's like, you want to try it? I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, she tried to hand them to me. I said, no, I'm good. Thanks.
There was a booth that had boiled peanuts?
Yeah.
It was.
They had a whole love from Florida section. And so it was all kind of, Emily and I did have the pumpkin fry bread. It's a Seminole recipe, which was very good.
That same
Okay.
area in the beer garden also had the buffalo wings, which for again a very
They
simple.
were good.
They were really good. You would think buffalo wings is just going to be some
Yeah.
crappy throw
I got
together. It
2
was
orders of
solid.
those, Gary. And then what was the drink I got? It was like a tequila.
There was a
Pineapple.
Paloma, I think.
Yeah, you didn't seem too sold on that.
That's
Tequila and
grapefruit. I don't
Yeah.
like grapefruit.
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't anything great.
I didn't like it because as soon as I put my nose in it, all I could smell was the tequila, and I was like,
Yeah, Mike took a sip. It looked like he tried to play it off like, yeah, it's not that bad. And I looked at you. I was like, yeah, he's
Yeah, it
he's
wasn't
not having
something.
it.
Well, that's out of your comfort zone anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then if it's just not gonna, if it's not perfect, you're just gonna pass on it at that point. I could imagine.
So then, right at the end of the night, Phil and I are talking about how much different like this was than the one at Epcot, because the one at Epcot, everybody's drunk and bent over, puking in gas or trash cans,
Yeah.
and this wasn't that bad.
Besides that one couple, I guess.
Besides that one couple,
yeah, I didn't see anybody else who stood out as being inappropriate.
no, it really
No, and I
wasn't
was
bad.
waiting for it. Even walking back out front, everybody waiting for their cars at the valet. Everybody was well behaved. They were, obviously everyone had some fun, but there was no bad antics, nothing crazy, no scuffles, no stumbling, none of
No,
that.
there's always fights at Epcot.
But my guess
there were people who was
is
drunk, but everybody was. It was a great time.
my guess is the crowd skews older for this. There's probably not a lot of 22-year-olds doing this.
No doubt
There
about
were
it.
a few.
There were a
younger
lot of younger people, but it was
it
more.
was definitely more our
I think
age.
because of the price point. I mean, you're 22, you're gonna spend $220, and
If it's daddy's money.
yeah, if it's it. But you could tell just from the like I remember all the girls were talking about the demographics because just hearing the band, it was a lot of yacht rock stuff that I like. So you could tell they're playing to like the 40 and 50 crowd.
Yeah, even to end the night, we walked back over to get dessert, and they ended the night with Queen, and they
Yeah,
were
we
playing
heard We Are
Prince,
the
and it was
Champions.
clearly geared towards
I
us.
was by the dueling pianos, and you could still hear it. It was just banging over there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was late 70s through late 80s for the most part. Just everything they played. There were a few newer songs, but that was 90% of the set list.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the country band was doing a lot more recent stuff.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but-
nobody
yeah.
likes country back in the 70s and 80s. It's
Right,
a little bit of a
exactly.
different genre.
Yeah.
Outlaw country.
But yeah, Emily and I kept waiting to see that couple like pressed up against one of the walls somewhere going at it on our
I mean,
way.
it was just so
Yeah.
funny, like just having our back to them and
It's gonna be like
watching
the
you,
car
and
in the Titanic.
just kept like looking up, looking down. Like I don't want them to see me looking at them, but I can't stop looking at them. And when Emily said, "I can't stop looking," I'm like, "That is classic. I can't stop watching."
Well, the funny thing is she's got a video I didn't realize she was taking of these two together. And I come walking from the other side, and I almost trip like a stutter step, and my head snaps around as I look down to his hands all over her back end, and you just see me shake my head in the video and continue walking toward them.
Because I said, "You want me to get this in 4K?" But like, it's easy to do it on a phone. But when you have a camera like me, and then I'm trying to zoom in, I'm like, yeah, I gotta stop because he's gonna catch me and come over.
Mike's got to put the microphone over there so you get better audio.
Or go all paparazzi, just put a big giant zoom lens on it.
Surprised no one went by and like poured a bucket of cold water over him or anything.
I'm gonna do a Bishop Hendricken leave room for
Yeah,
the
Susie said leave room
Yeah.
for the Holy Spirit.
Sounds like there wasn't much room for that going on.
Nope. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
Gary.
on the whole, I thought everything was excellent.
So you asked me last night when I sent you that picture when I was having my couple of Mick lights and looking at the Christmas tree at the boardwalk. You said, "Was it worth it?" And I said, "I'll answer it on the podcast."
Yeah.
What do you think? Or what do you two think?
I feel that in general, nothing is quote unquote worth what you pay for it. You're never going to get all of your money's worth out of it.
Right.
But I think the experience absolutely was worth it. Like getting to try stuff from all of those different restaurants and like all of the different wines and like things you never would have come across, like Rocky, never would have found Rocky, was definitely worth it.
Rocky came out in the crowd to find you, though. Let's be honest. He
That's
was working
true.
the crowd.
He was pretty good.
I think every other year I'd totally be down. I don't know that I want to do it every year, especially if the menu doesn't change that dramatically. But Em and I have already just chatted about it. Been like, yeah, we'll skip next year just because it's not that. But we would definitely go back. I think it's as close as I could get to it being worth it for 200 a head to go hang with friends, wander the whole place, enjoy yourself for the night, get all that food. It's all solid food. If I had shown up and it was reheated Costco like it is at Food and Wine over in World Showcase, I'd never go back. But what does it cost you for an appetizer inside of any one of those restaurants? That's a $20 appetizer, and it's probably only 2 or 3 times bigger than the plates they're giving us. I went through 30 plates last night.
Yeah.
Because that like I was telling her, I said it was just a great experience. Like looking back, if we were to do it next year or 2 years, maybe pregame and look at the menus and say, okay, we strategically want to do this, and this. And if you're a wine drinker, it's so worth it because you can talk to these people and pair a wine with this dish. And like we just kind of ran from booth to booth and grab a glass of wine and grab this and grab that. But I think if you maybe plan a little better and understand more, like because we went last night, we're going to be more groomed to do it in a couple years.
So it sounds like in 2026 we're booking a 3-bedroom, and it's going to be.
We'll do a treehouse.
do
We'll
it.
do something else. But I agree with Phil. Like I told Kristen, I said it was so cool, like hanging out with them.
Yeah, we had a blast.
It was a
Like
lot of fun.
for the price that, like for $400 for us to hang out, it was a
You're
blast.
not going to get that experience in a lot of places. I don't
And the
think.
more
With
the
music
merrier.
and everything. It was really, really fun.
It was a blast. It was a party. It was.
And I did notice, Phil, I don't know if you noticed this on your menu or whatever the handout was. It looked like Friday night, some of the booths had different options.
They did.
Yeah, there were a couple actually that Friday looked a little better.
I
than
agree with you.
Saturday did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me find the one I was thinking of. It might have been up at no, it wasn't. Yeah, Smoke and D's barbecue. So we got the smoked beef brisket. Friday night was a smoked handcrafted bacon, artisanal broad puree, carrot puree, braised greens, and shaved vinegared heirloom apple.
Yeah,
That
that
sounds
pretty damn
good.
good.
Yeah.
Well, you like the brisket though, so maybe it would have been a disappointment.
It might have been, but
Brisket,
there were definitely some solid options on Friday as well that were a little different.
So whether or not, like, I agree with you that you're not going to get like quote unquote value out of spending $220 on this, but you're all talking about doing it again. So it obviously didn't feel like a ripoff. It wasn't something where you're like, yeah, that kind of sucked. Like when we did the Christmas party last year,
Christmas party was very disappointing.
we
Phil,
all came out of it like,
yeah,
that's not worth it.
Never
Like
again.
it's
No.
fine, probably not going to do it again. So this is the
that's a good comparison because Phil, wouldn't you agree
Same
this
price,
is
too.
much better experience than the Christmas party?
Not just that, the price, Gary just said it's the same price. We went to
Yeah.
the Christmas party last year, 3 or 4 days before you guys did. We
Literally,
were in town.
yeah.
And it was busier than your average Sunday in Magic Kingdom. You couldn't get near the parade. You couldn't get near the hot cocoa. We asked our kids this year if they wanted to do it because we're only there for a real short time. And they said no. So for my kids who were
when you're
10 and
kids,
12
they're
to
like,
say no,
yeah,
it had to be bad. We won't go back anytime in the near future and spend money on the Christmas party.
no interest.
I would absolutely go back and do this again.
And like if we could even like get like our posse with your posse and like just have like 15 or 20 people and just rock and roll. The other thing, Gary, too, like we're gonna wrap things up, but I mean they had tables all over the place. Like at Epcot, you're eating on trash cans. There were times like we would split tables with other people, but there were times where we could literally sit down and there was like 8 of us all sitting together, like just drinking wine and hanging
That's how
out.
we ended the night.
Yeah, there was plenty of room.
Well, that's good.
And they did actually have quite a bit of merch, and the prices were ridiculously inexpensive.
I got a Christmas ornament for $2.
Oh, really?
You able to get that at Epcot?
If you were smart, you would have gone back today. I'll bet you the prices were even
did go
more.
back
Oh,
today.
did you went back today?
Yeah,
It was over. Yeah, that's the way. It's like the Halloween
They
candy
didn't
on
mark
November
anything
1st.
down.
No, because
The
it was
prices were
the
really,
prices were
really reasonable.
yeah. They had like golf shirts for $30. I'm like,
Yeah, we saw the same inside of Swan or Dolphin when we walked back out to get to the car.
Oh, so this wasn't even like exclusive to the event. It's just in general they had this.
Yeah, it was like in one of the gift shops at the Swan. It was like the Food and Wine Classic official merchandise.
Yeah, the only thing I would prefer is that it had the year on it because none of it had the year. They recycle it year after year, but
Oh yeah.
they did
Because they
have,
don't think
which we
like Disney where
actually
you have to buy one
considered-
every year.
They had an insulated tote bag. It was what, like $40?
Yeah, it was $40.
And it came with a 6-pack of fins and feathers. And we kind of hemmed and hawed over it. And I'm like, the quality is just a little concerning to me. And I'd rather spend, 2 to 3 times that to get a really good one.
Like, especially for traveling to Disney, a lot of times we're bringing leftovers home and we throw it in the trunk, and it would be nice to have a halfway decent cooler.
With the beer that Mike didn't finish.
Right. Now, talk real again. Talk about the service. How they were just
Service
on the
was
spot.
crazy.
It was amazing.
They had people all over the place. They would literally see that you were done and they would take things out of your hands to throw it away for you. They would come and clear the tables, and it was not at all what I was expecting.
That's how I lost my wine glass.
Yeah. We all bust our own tables because, as soon as we leave, other people want to come up and eat at that table. So I don't want to leave our
mess,
dirty mess with napkins and stuff. So we'd always bust our tables. But there were times where they saw us just finishing up and they'd come over and, we got that. And they'd bust the tables.
They were wheeling garbage cans around so that they could, keep on top of everything. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I was too.
Operation.
Like you said when we walked over there today that it was much better than what you had thought it would be.
Even the people busting the tables were conversing with us. Hey, how's everything? Are you
Yeah,
enjoying
like they
yourselves?
actually
What's your
cheered.
favorite?
Yeah.
What have you liked so far? There was interaction. They were solid.
Yeah.
Phil, did
sounds
this
like it-
exceed your expectations?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, after years and years of Epcot Food and Wine, even though everyone said this is a step above, you still expect it to be some mass produced. Like, how well can they really put that many small plates out and still keep the quality solid and consistent? You've got to wonder that going in. And I think it blew those expectations right out of the water. It was
How
really
many
good.
tickets do you think they sell to this thing?
Oh, a lot.
A couple thousand, I want to say.
You think that meant? That's what I was wondering. Is it like hundreds or thousands? So thousands.
Yeah, I think you might be, I don't know, high hundred. It's hard to gauge. I want to say 1,000 maybe, if that's.
It's a big area. It wouldn't surprise me at all if there's a couple thousand people in that area spread throughout the entire thing.
Because I know it sells out too, right?
Don't stay the
Sometimes.
whole time too. Oh, does it sell out? I don't know.
Yeah, last year, I think Scott and Kathleen wanted to go late. They figured out like 2 weeks before that they wanted to go. They didn't realize the date. They went to get tickets and it was sold out.
Oh,
So
wow.
we grabbed them immediately.
Okay.
Any last thoughts, or should we wrap things up here, Mike?
I was gonna say something. I'm trying to remember what it was. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Nothing else?
No, that's it. You can wrap it up, buddy.
All right. Sounds like it was a good experience, and now I have FOMO. I wish I had come down.
Yeah, you'll see some of that on our YouTube channel this week.
Oh, nice. So that's where you could find us. Go to all of our socials at WDWBTG, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, our Facebook group, WDW Beyond the Gates Podcast Family, WDWBTG.com. You can email the show, info at WDWBTG.com, Mike at WDWBTG.com, and Gary at WDWBTG.com. Phil, tell the people where they can find you.
Sure, you can find us over at DVC Clubhouse or the Debrief Podcast. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Main Street Dad.
All right. That's going to do it for episode number 555 of the WDW Beyond the Gates podcast. For our special guests, Angry New Phil Jr. and Sweet Susie, my name is my co-host Mike. My name is Gary. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again next.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. M-I-C
See you real soon.
K-E-Y
Why? Because we like you.
M-O